Hi, my name is Gopinath, and I would like to talk about our intelligent assistant Vesta, which we think can help over 40 million people around the world. So, heart failure occurs when the heart muscle isn't able to pump the right amount of blood throughout the body, and the period just after the heart failure is actually really important. The main reason why we think it's important is one, there's a drastic drop in the quality of life of the patient, which really affects the overall patient's health. But if there is not the right amount of care provided, there's a really high chance that the patient's outcome can even deteriorate further. The benefits, on the other hand, of having a positive care is that the survival rates of patients improves drastically, and the patients are able to maintain their quality of life. It also reduces the chances of hospital readmission while keeping the cost of treatment really down. The key thing to note is that it's not just the heart that suffers, it's also the mind. Patients who've undergone heart failure are known to experience serious psychological effects, including fear, anxiety, and depressions. And this usually leads to social isolation and has a marked effect on their family relationships. Also, the family members also have a huge amount of burden taking care of these patients. They usually have huge financial and emotional burdens too. And when you try understanding what's the key challenges for these patients in terms of improving the overall health, it's key to know that it's not just the heart health, it's also the mind health that actually plays a big role here. Over 60% of the patients fail to adhere to their medication, while because of the constant transition of care from different hospitals to care providers, 31% of the patients only receive the right amount of education that is required. These patients are already exhausted from their weakening heart, and they're not able to do the right amount of exercises, which causes over 50% of the patients not having any physical activity once they're discharged from the hospital. And finally, given that the older demographics of the patients, a lot of these patients generally don't tend to adopt newer technologies that are available these days. And that's where we've introduced the digital assistant Vesta. There are three key pillars in terms of maintaining cardiac health. One is maintenance, monitoring, and management. And we'll talk through them in detail. Maintenance is not just the maintenance of physical health, but also making sure that you connect with your family and your friends. Monitoring, on the other hand, is making sure that you are aware of how you feel, your signs and symptoms, while management is in making sure that you are proactive in terms of reporting the signs and symptoms to a healthcare provider. A lot of tools are currently available for the monitoring and management, but there are very few tools that actually help in sustaining physical and emotional contacts with people around us. And that's where Vesta comes in. So, why is family support really important? There are so many peer reviewed literature that's available that can tell you that with the right family support, people are able to make sure that they adhere to their medication and dietary restrictions. They also are very active in terms of monitoring their vitals and exercise more regularly than patients who don't. Because these patients are so motivated to have a life, they also seek medical advice at the right time and overall report much better quality of life. Now, Siddharth will walk us through a demo of Vesta.
Consider the Scott family. Scott recently suffered through a heart episode. This was concerning to the family because Steve, Scott's father, had a similar incident 6 years ago. Discussions with their healthcare provider led them to Vesta. Vesta is an intelligent assistant that brings the family together and ensures that they adhere to their health goals. To connect with Vesta, the family members work with their healthcare provider to identify their short and long term goals as a group and sign up through the Vesta mobile app. They log in through their MyFitnessPal accounts, which connects to their wearable data. Once logged in, they can monitor their vital statistics and progress on their goals. Where Vesta stands out is its capability to show where you stand within your family. At the dinner table, the Scott family uses the Vesta companion Alexa skill to know about each other's progress. Let's see how this goes. Alexa, launch Vesta.
Welcome to your daily Vesta trivia. Are you ready?
Yes.
Is Scott present and ready?
Yes.
Okay, Scott, here's your question. Guess who has done 100 ab crunches in the past 2 days?
Emily?
Bingo, Scott. Emily. You are on the right track to reach your goal of 1,000 crunches per week. Is Emily present and ready?
Yes.
Okay, Emily, here's your question. How many miles did Mark swim in his last master's class?
3.
Emily, that was close. In fact, the answer is 2. Good to see you raking those miles, Mark. You are getting closer to the magic number of 6 miles per week. Is Steve present and ready?
Yes.
Okay, Steve, here's your question. How many minutes of walking did Scott do yesterday?
60.
Bingo, Steve. Great going, Scott. You are 25% closer to your goal of 240 minutes per week. And by the way, you have missed 0 medications this week. Kudos on that. Is Mark present and ready?
Yes.
Okay, Mark, here's your question. How many miles did Steve run in the past 2 days?
2.
Mark, that was close. In fact, the answer is 1. Steve, awesome. You achieved your goal for this week. Here are the final scores. Scott is 4. Emily is 2. Steve is 4. Mark is 1. Okay, today's trivia is complete.
Thank you, Siddharth, for the demo. So one of the key goals of Vesta is to help Scott and his family maintain their quality of life as they're transitioning from the hospital to their home. To achieve this, we will work directly with their long-term care providers to deploy Vesta to Scott and his families. This would be really beneficial for the long-term care organization because improved Scott adherence means lower readmission rates and overall healthcare utilization. So some of the key highlights for Vesta include the really low technology barrier. By gamifying the entire experience using Alexa means that people from all different age groups can actively participate. And active monitoring and participation by the patient means there's improved adherence and reporting of adverse events. And because Alexa and the entire technology is so easy to use, the entire platform can be expanded to other diseases like diabetes and obesity too. And finally, in terms of roadmap, we are going to be building a lot of tools to enable reporting to care providers, along with expanding it to other platforms like Apple Health and Google Fit.